The Nigerian tax system has undergone several reforms geared at enhancing tax collection and administration with minimal enforcement costs. Now, some of the recent reforms include the introduction of tax identification number, automated tax system that facilitates tracking of tax positions and issues by individual taxpayers, e-payment systems, which enhances smooth payment procedure and reduces the incidence of tax touts. Enforcement scheme special purpose tax officers. The report by the Economic Intelligence magazine recently indicates that the IGR of Lagos State stands at 302 billion naira. That's higher than that of 30 states put together, excluding Lagos, Ogun, Rivers, Edo, Kwara, and Delta states, whose IGRs are very impressive at more than 30% each. The 30 other states merely generated a total of 258 billion naira. Nigeria accounts for low tax revenue when compared to its counterparts in sub-Saharan African countries of Ghana, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Egypt, South Africa, and even Botswana. This is as a result of low compliance by the Nigerian populace. Out of about 200 million people, that's the population of the country, and nearly 70 million eligible taxpayers, only 14 million people are in the tax net. And just recently, the federal government declared every Thursday to create awareness amongst Nigerians on payment of tax and accrued benefits. According to the Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, the program will last 1 year and will target at least 4 million new taxpayers from the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Well, a head partner with PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria, Taiwo Oyedele, is here in the studio to discuss, well, of course, issues surrounding tax. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
My pleasure, as always.
Well, I'll start this way now, Taiwo. Well, 0.55% out of recession. Some of the factors relating to bringing Nigeria out of recession, many says the tax aspect of it didn't really do well. I don't know what you make of that.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's good that we are in the positive territories, but still very fragile. Sometimes, you know, the risk and the danger with averages is that you can lose the messages about what really matters. If you break down the GDP to different sectors, you see many sectors are still in recession. So that's a fact of what we have. In terms of the contribution of tax, so tax in itself would not even contribute to GDP. Because you're talking about expenditure, consumption, savings, and all of that. But tax is a reflection of economic activities. So if you're struggling to collect taxes, it's also because people are struggling to make money. So you need to address that fundamental issue. A lot of people are still unemployed. The unemployment data, if you take underemployment plus unemployment, is about 35%. That's just crazy. So people who don't earn salaries can't pay PAYE. They won't be able to consume, they won't pay VAT. Companies are struggling and they're still making losses. Some sectors have started recovering, like financial services, but there's still a lot of them that are recording losses. They will not be able to pay corporate income tax. So it's a journey. Unfortunately, tax matters are not things you fix overnight. But you need to start the journey and sustain it consistently so that very soon we get to where we need to be. We just need to address the issue of revenue in Nigeria.
I could remember clearly of the national tax policy. You know, a committee that I know you're on arrowhead of, and a lot has been done. I think the federal government, because since you said the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, and I think that step has been taken. How far have we really gone?
You're right. Tax policy was put together around February, was approved by FEC, and now it's September. To be honest, we haven't really done a lot in terms of implementation, which is always the problem we have with the system. We have brilliant ideas, we have great initiatives, but sometimes we don't follow through. I will have to say that the Minister of Finance has tried in setting up a committee to implement it, and some progress are being made. In fact, the voluntary asset and income declaration scheme was also one of the recommendations of the national tax policy to have a form of tax amnesty. Now, tax policy in itself, even if you fix it, will not solve our problems with regards to tax. You need so many things to work together. You need tax legislations that make sense and they are robust and they are fit for purpose. We don't have that. There's not a single tax law in Nigeria you can say you're proud of. Some of them we inherited, like from the colonial masters, like the Stamp Duty Act. It's a law of 1939. This is 2017, for God's sake. So we're struggling with those laws. They are ambiguous, they are obsolete, they create so much uncertainty, they are not investor friendly, and that's for me is the biggest problem. The other leg of this tripod is tax administration, from the FRS to the state authorities to customs service, even local government. Sometimes we overlook them, but they all contribute into the tax system as to whether it is effective, whether it's working, or whether it's not working. I have to also say that the federal government, especially the Enabling Business Environment Council of the federal government, is helping. We have seen some gains, but there's still a lot more to do to get close to where we need to be.
Let's look at states now. Let's look at some states. Clearly, everyone knows a state like Lagos is doing well when it comes to taxation. I can even stay out of federal allocation and all of that. But I think some states are also getting there. I don't know, maybe there's any report you're studying, or maybe there's anything you've done to really tell us what the states are doing at the moment to get better with regards to taxation.
No, I can tell you what it is. So your comment is valid about Lagos State is doing well, but Lagos State is only doing well relative to other states in Nigeria. If you consider Lagos State and say, if Lagos State were to be a country, it would be the 5th largest in Africa. Yeah? So the 5th largest economy in Africa should not be collecting what Lagos is collecting. It's too small. Lagos State revenue is even under ₦1 trillion. You know, in fact, from tax, Lagos, the whole of Nigeria, all 36 states, including Lagos State, is just 801 billion. So 801 billion convert to USD, even use official rates, this is under $3 billion. In South Africa alone, they make more than 5 times that amount with a lower population from personal income tax. So every state, including Lagos State, needs to do a lot more in raising their revenue. I would admit with you, I will agree with you that Lagos State relatively is doing well. Some states are catching up. Ogun State, you have even Kano State. I think they registered almost 2-3 million new taxpayers over the past 1-2 years. You have Edo State and a few other states, Kaduna State. So everybody is now waking up to say, what can we do for ourselves? We can't be going hand in cap every month to Abuja to go and share. The money is not even there to share anymore. So you have to look inward. But we must always remind ourselves, tax is never a standalone issue. You can't just be beating up people to pay tax. Address the prosperity issue. When people prosper, they have a basis to pay tax, and that's fundamental.
When people prosper, they have basis to pay tax. But what about some that will say, we've paid, and we're yet to see what our money is being used for? Some have that argument, and you know.
Yes, indeed. One of the justifications, you see, in life generally, if you want to do anything, whether good or bad, you justify it to yourself and to your conscience. When people don't want to pay tax, they need to convince themselves that what they're doing is okay. And the way to do that, part of the way to do that is to justify the fact that paying taxes in itself means that government should take care of you. And since government has refused to take care of me, then I shouldn't pay tax. That's the logic. But unfortunately, that doesn't solve a problem. It's like 2 wrongs don't make it right. If government is not using tax revenue to take care of us, we shouldn't stop paying taxes. We should pay and hold government to account. Many people who claim that they pay taxes in Nigeria actually don't. Whatever they pay doesn't get to government. And the one that is supposed to get to government, there's no proper accountability as to how that money is spent. And Nigerians don't ask questions. They don't hold government to account. Just, you know, if you wind back to the last election, how many conversations did you have about taxation? It wasn't an issue for us. Somebody will tell you they're going to build bridges where there's not even water, and we clap for them. We don't ask them where they're going to get the money from. So they get there and then they then struggle. Whatever little we have there sometimes is stolen or is wasted. So Nigerian people actually are the biggest solution we can have to our problems. We must come together, pay our taxes, hold government to account. The best and the largest and most powerful countries in the world don't rely on natural resources. They rely on tax revenue.
Indeed. We're going to take a break now, and this discussion continues. Stay with us. It's still Business Nigeria.